Hi lovelies, welcome to my life and tarot. My name is Janne. For you English speakers, the name is Jane. And this is the video I previously have mentioned about that I want to do the revisited tarot deck collection of mine. So some of you maybe know, I have mentioned that before also, that approximately in August I had a major deck taste change, and so this is the final result of this change. These are the decks that stayed and the decks that I got after my shift to another taste or level. Okay, and let's just start, because this is probably going to be a long one. So if you want to know what decks I wanted and had before, then I will leave my first collection video I did, the link to that down below. You can see for yourself if you are interested. But let's just start with these. This is how I keep my decks in my witchy lair, and they are, most of the time they are here. I do my readings and my work and most of my things here. Sometimes I take some of the decks home, but most of them stay here. So the top row, this one, are the decks that I consider either classical or like historical-ish. So this is how I see them. And let's just start from here. This is, as you can see, I have a crystal on every deck. I rotate the crystals usually, but I'm not going to go through all the crystals, but I'm going to show the decks. Sorry if I'm going out of frame, because I'm trying this new thing here, not used to do it like this, but okay. This is the Tarot de Marseille by B.P. Grimoire, and this deck was issued around early 70s, and this is the oldest deck that I have. It says B.P. Grimoire 1963 on here, but this particular deck is later edition, but old nevertheless. Really thick cardstock, like papery or cardboardy and heavy. So I never thought at first that I go down the Marseille path, because Marseille decks, I didn't like the yellows and blues and everything. This looked not pretty for me, but after my change I totally changed my mind and got myself a Marseille deck, which I love a lot. Next is the Alchemical Tarot renewed 4th edition, and I love that. This deck was a gift exchange deck from a lovely friend, because I just couldn't get this anywhere in Europe. I know the one page that I'm not going to advertise here was selling this deck, but there was only one deck in their storage, and I thought, okay, I will buy this after these things, and when I returned the deck was gone and I was like, no. So this deck came to me thanks to my friend in US, and I bought her a deck and she bought me this one, and we exchanged gifts, so to speak. I hope I'm not showing all the same cards here, which I probably am. So thank you, Denise, for this one. I was over the top and still am with this. So, Alchemical Tarot 4th edition. Next is the Tarot of the Master, Giovanni Vacetta deck. I hope you can see. Are we overexposed? I think we are, so sorry about that. This is not cool. But Lo Scarabeo deck, Tarot of the Master, which I trimmed the green, for me, ugly borders with all languages. Trimmed off and did not cut the corners for keeping it authentic. And Pip deck, absolutely amazing art, reads really well, and I love the pastel colors of this one. These are the backs. And Tarot of the Master. Next is the Old English Tarot, also a Pip deck. This I got as a gift from lovely lady in Netherlands. Thank you, Diane, for this one. I'm really grateful. I have no words. People are amazing, and I try to be as amazing and pay it forward and give back whenever I can. So another Pip deck. The glare in this one is sadly quite strong. These are the backs. Next is the Ancient Enlightened Tarot, aka Solabusca, again Lo Scarabeo deck, and trimmed. Beautiful colors, historical reproduction, and love it a lot. Reads really beautifully, and I use it quite often in client readings and such. These are the backs. Next is the Deck of the Bastard, Samhain edition, I think second printing or second edition, with these backs. And I love this deck. The minors are Rider White, but with some quirky changes, and the court cards and majors are taken from the Book of Thoth Eteia Tarot, the third rendering of the Eteia Tarot, which probably was issued first by the followers and pupils of the Eteia in himself. You can see a pumpkin head here and cone hat. So some changes have made, but it's a wonderful deck. Deck of the Bastard. So next is the Golden Tarot by Cat Black. This has enormous glare, probably. I'm trying not to blind you with this. First, I wasn't interested in this one because of so many of the Christian or this type of religious imagery, but then I realized I really want a good medieval lifestyle deck, and this one is the best of them that I have seen. I had the Timeless Tarot, also made out of paintings, but this didn't click with me that much. So I traded this for the Trionfi della Luna, which now also has left my possession and has a new wonderful home. So the Golden Tarot by Cat Black. Next is the Le Tarot Noir, or the Black Tarot, by French artist Matthew Aquier. Amazing art, and thanks to this deck I learned how to shuffle large decks, because I had to rehearse my hands to be used to these large cards. You can see my hand totally gets lost back there, so these are huge and the deck itself is heavy. So it took me 3 days to learn how to shuffle this one. Also great deck and reads so beautifully. These are the backs. Now for the next row. Here in the middle are the decks that are for client readings mostly, that I use for different seasons and so on. So let's just start from this side, and this is the Ghost Tarot by David Corsi. I use this year round, but my hubby really loves this deck and reaches for it for pretty frequently. It reads well for relationship readings, and I tend to use it at the, I don't know, the darker times, like the autumn and this type of, not the shadow work deck per se, but like the darker time of the year, the Ghost Tarot. Next is the Vision Quest. Beautiful deck. Again, overexposed, sorry. I tried my best with this light. Vision Quest Tarot I use for myself most often, but I draw this for clients also, and it speaks really well when it calls me to use it, but not so often. Mostly I have been using it to answer my own questions and connect with spirit guides, and so on. Vision quest. Next is the Line Strider Tarot. This one you can't see at all. I think the overexposure is too much. I'm trying. Sorry. This is Enabled deck by Stephen Bright, and this deck I used when the snow came down, started to use it first, and I think it is both a beachy and a snowy deck. You can use it on winter and on summer also. It's like universal a bit. But I just recently started to use it more. The Line Strider. Now next is the Russian tarot deck, which is called either Theater Dolls or Theater Puppets, and this one came to me thanks to Instagram, because I saw on one lady's feed she used this one for the daily draw and pick a card from out of 3 a lot, and I was like, oh my god, what is this deck? And I asked her, and she most kindly told me even where to get it, sent me the link how I can get it to my country, from where I can get it to my country. So this is also one of the best reading decks for every type of questions. I have trimmed it because it has had these thick borders and it was like square-ish cards, not size but the shape, and I didn't like that, so I trimmed it off. This is a little bit smaller than the usual tarot deck, but I know there's edition with black borders and it has larger size also. I think I would love to have this one also one day. But yeah, I'm so thankful I got this deck, and this is Liliana. If you are watching, спасибо тебе. Если не ты, тогда я не слышал бы об этом колоде. Так, спасибо огромное. So Lisa, this was for you if you wanted to say things, wanted me to say things in Russian when they come into my head. So I thanked the wonderful lady for enabling and showing me this deck, so it had came to my life. Next is the tarot of the Anake, or the Anake tarot. Again, universe, sorry, trying to stay in the frame here. Universal deck for every kind of questions. I've used it for love readings and work related and whatever general questions. This deck is one of them universal decks that does the job. These are the backs. And okay, next is the Deviant Moon Borderless Tarot. Initially I didn't like it, yet I felt so drawn to it. So I purchased myself a deck, and I went through it, but I had no idea how to use it. So it didn't call me for using more than I think twice, and then I thought, well, this is another shelf squatter and I should just let it go. So I sold it, and as soon as I sent out the parcel, I was like, no, I think I really need it. So after a few weeks, I found myself a trade, and I so got it back. And also, I initially thought I would never use it in client readings. I was wrong. This deck reads so well, not in particular maybe love readings, or they like gentle touch readings, but in general readings, and the male clients have been really enjoying this one, and so do I. Really happy that I got it back. Next is the Steampunk Tarot, which I have trimmed. Barbara Moore, and I can't remember the artist's name, sorry, but the art is just so beautiful on this one. And again, everyday readings, relationship readings, great deck for that. The images are just beautiful. Love it. Steampunk Tarot. And next is the Herbal Tarot. Must say immediately that the book that is for the deck is just awesome. There are some useful information in the little white book also, but the large book just complements this deck and explains a lot why some herbs are used for what card and so on, and a lot of information about herbs themselves also, and how to use them and when. So this deck is great for working with herbs or creating things from herbs, and also general readings. It's just rider white with herbs on the cards added. These are the backs, and this was a gift from a friend again, and thank you for that. This makes me really happy, and she wanted to give me that because of the plans I have with the land and all the creations there. I'm working with the land spirits. Next, the bottom row are the decks that I am using mostly only reading for myself. So let's take from here the Tarot of the She. This is one awesome deck. Love it. Just love it, how it speaks and how much details are here on the cards, and this is just out of this world. When I first got this deck, it made me really emotional to see some of the images, and I just was flipping through. I didn't even ask any questions. I immediately saw the depth of this one. Tarot of the She. Next is the Dark Grimoire, This is my shadow work deck, Russian edition, because of the English one has all the languages, and I did not like that so much. And English one also has those dark blue borders, and this has black, so this I like better because of the matching colors and less all the languages in here. This is my only shadow working deck, and probably only so-called dark deck. For me it's not that dark, but it classifies as dark, I think. Dark Grimoire. Next is the Tarot of the Shapeshifter. Trimmed the blue borders away, and here up here was the suit names. I trimmed them off because this deck I am not planning, was not planning to use as a overexposure as a tarot deck, but more like an oracle deck or the guidance deck with spirit guides and ancestors, and I'm using it like that. Also came with a book which is so beautifully written and explains a lot about those cards. Shapeshifters. Now the next is the Fairy Lights Tarot. Again, low Scarabeo deck that I trimmed everything off from, and I'm using it like an oracle deck, not as a tarot deck, for path working and dream working, and also ancestor and guides messages come through this deck so beautifully. I don't need to know what is what tarot wise, although I remember most of them what they are, but still don't use it like tarot. Fairy Lights Tarot. Next is the Shining Tribe. Shamanic journeying and ancestral work with the land, work with myself. This is the deck for me that overruled the initial want to get the Dark Goddess deck, as I find this much more talkative to me. And I'm thankful I didn't get the Dark Goddess before I saw this one. Shining Tribe Tarot. Next is the Magical Forest. This one I sometimes use for client readings also, but mostly it is my hug deck. It is my childhood working deck and my oh god, sorry, my cutie pie hug animals deck. Again, low Scarabeo deck with all the languages, which I trimmed off because it is straight up Rider White, only with huggable animals. can't go wrong. You can see all the symbolics on the cards, Rider White. So this one I use like a tarot deck. These are the backs. Next is the Bosch Tarot. I'm thinking about trimming it when I figure out how to do it, because the majors and minors are differently composed, so I'm not sure which I will leave, the upper or the lower part, or I will take everything off and figure out how to mark them differently. This deck, look at that. This deck helps me unwind my brain so well, and just makes me laugh and makes me happy, and all those details here. This deck like evokes my imagination, and when I feel things are stale or I need a restart for the brain, then I use this one. Beautiful artwork, love it. It's quirky, it's different, it is not so much tarot-ish Rider White system. It's not so much, it's not like any certain system at least for me. It's just like with Rider White system hints, but on its own, and the little white book is like goldmine of the great quotes. These are the backs. And last one up here on this level is the Arthurian Tarot, and I'm not going to mess this up. This is in order because I am yet learning with this one. I have only used it on myself or for myself, but I need to study a little bit more of this. I know there's a group on Facebook which Lisa, the Tarot Alchemist, created and explained, and Lisa also did many videos about this deck, so I have yet to learn myself through them and go and do the thing. And Lisa, I really appreciate that you took time and did that. I know you closed up the group because you didn't have time, but it's still up. Anyone can just go and see everything in there. So next, now let me see how I can move this thing here. I'm not going to lower you, I'm just going to take a decks from here. Down here are the decks that are either for educational purposes, that I use mostly to show and tell about with my tarot school people here, but also here are the decks that are spare decks, like my Druidcraft Tarot. The one that I am using all the time is trimmed. This one stays untrimmed until I will be getting to it if something happens with the other one. Then here is the spare deck for the Wildwood Tarot, which is the German edition. This one I didn't trim because the borders are not so wide as on the English one. This is the German edition of the Wildwood, which is my spare Wildwood deck. Next is the Greenwich Tarot. This is my trimmed version, which I now hold as the spare one, because it's the sturdy first edition cardstock, not the new flimsy and overexposed art one. So this I am keeping as a spare Greenwich. These three are my most used decks. Down here also I have decks that I use maybe less than others. The Prisma Visions, first edition. I'm not using it as much, has not drawn me to use it yet, but I love the stories and the artwork on this one. So the Prisma Visions. Next is the Tarot of the Trees. This one I use when I am in the outside mostly, or when I need a deck where there's no people. This is Rider White with trees, no people, nothing human made almost. Well, the swords and some things are, but great small deck to grab along to the forest and work with the tree elements and tree energies. Tarot of the Trees. So next is my mini Nicoletta Seccoli, which I also use on myself only. It is down there because it didn't fit here. And I just recently, not recently, actually a month ago, I already traded. I sent my deck out a month ago and haven't heard from the other part since. So I should have, I think, a Nicoletta Seccoli regular size also. At least I hope. I will. So this is the deck I use for the youth to adult transition work mostly. Next is the three decks that I am still learning to use. First is the Hermetic Tarot. Lot of details, and I even am thinking maybe taking the color pencils on this one and coloring this. I'm thinking about it, if I will do it or not. Time will tell, but this one I am just getting to know and have not read with this yet. Another deck that I am getting to know is the Book of Thoth Eteia Tarot. It has all the keywords on it, but they are in French, and I have to see how all of this works. I have read with this. I've taken the significator, or the main energy cards for client readings from this deck, and I must admit I have went by the book with this one card I have pulled for the client readings, because I have not memorized this one yet. So Book of Thoth Eteia, still learning, and the last one I am still learning is the newcomer, that is the Elemental Tarot. So far I've went through the cards and I really am loving it. I still have to get acquainted with all those little details and symbols on the cards, and have to Google and find out all those who are all those names that are mentioned on the cards and what they represent, so I could know this deck better. But I love it. It's really interesting, but I still am learning and working on this one. So this is not yet it. I am moving to the other side and will be grabbing some decks from this side, and this is the how it's called. Oh, let's look. Tarocco Neoclassico by Il Meneghello, and this is the deck I have been using for readings, but not so much. This is like for educational purposes, to show the historical decks and how they looked like. So this one, Tarocco Neoclassico. Next is the Ozworth Tarot, or the Ozworth, what can you call it even? This is redone. This is not his original art. This is not his original color scheme that he mindfully did, but this is the deck that I can get my hands to, so I opted to use this one. And Ozworth only created the major arcana mindfully, but this artist has this goldish or bronze sheen to the cards, and they just tried to imagine how the pips and court cards would look like if Ozworth himself would have done them. Have not been using this for readings. I eventually will, but right now this is a example deck for the students, to show how the tarot decks evolved throughout history. Next is another historical deck that is considered the first and the most fully what's the word? Well, this is the Visconti's Forza Tarot. I'm trying to show you this. The reproduction by Mary Packard. This is the most oldest deck that I think has 74 cards, or 70. I'm not sure. I think 4 cards were missing from this deck initially, and they just tried to reimagine them, and Devil card was one of them and Tower was the other, and then one Pip card, and I think the Page of Coins also was missing from the old deck, which is in the museum. Some cards are in London, some cards in New York, and some, I think 13 cards, are in the possession of the predecessors of the Visconti Sforza family. So these I haven't used for readings also yet. No, I'm lying, actually I have, but this is a mother piece of heart. I can't shuffle this. This is like really hard to shuffle. So next educational purposes deck is my little pocket thought deck. I hope you can see something. I'm not drawn to thought just yet myself, but I want to have it still. I think I will at one point get the large one, because in this small one the details are like too small, I think, for seeing and using maybe fully. So pocket thought. And now bear with me. Oh, one deck more. It is spread beautifully down here for beauty purposes, and I can let the people just sift through the cards when they are waiting for a reading or the crystal healing session. So I would love to use it, but it bothers me that the deck has defects on the backs. Some of the backs are like, I traded for this deck and this information that it's ripped like that did not appear before I had the deck in my hand, so I feel I can't use it for readings. It is a beautiful art deck, artsy, but people love to look at it. This is not scary, this is cute, this is like classical, and if even children can look at it and not be thinking that it's devil in the cards. It's surprising how many people still think that. So now I am moving again. Bear with me. I'm trying to now turn you this way. Oh, there. Okay. So here are the cards that I use the most frequently, and these are my Wildwood Tarot English version, which I totally trimmed and am using it as spirit guides messages for clients. I like take the usual spread, or they answer the usual question with the usual reading cards deck, and then I take one card as a special message from this deck. And for myself, I am using this as ancestral work and shamanic work. Next is the Greenwich Tarot. This is the last edition. Glossy, flimsy cardstock and the overexposed one, which I now use as everyday reading deck and spare my beautiful older version. Greenwich Tarot. Next is the usual Rider White. Sorry for twirling around too much. Usual Rider White deck that I use for readings, for teaching, for yeah, for quite a lot of things that you can do with tarot deck. This is a German edition that I have with these backs. I'm not sure if you can see the rose crucian thing in here. So, Rider White and my homemade, my self-made Rider White, which was my first and only deck for years. Handmade deck. This one I reach for quite a lot also. So sturdy. These are the backs. And this one is in the box. I will not get that out. We all know how it looks like. This is the Druidcraft Tarot, which I've trimmed and aged, and this is one of the workhorses also. And last one, guys, last tarot deck. This is also one of the most used decks, and this is the Pagan Otherworld. I'm trying to not to overuse it. I try to spare it because I waited for this one for so long, and when I finally got this, I just want to hold it dearly and just not ravish it too much, because this is the only one I probably could not get myself a spare deck of this one, but I love it so much. I know part of the team that created this deck is from Finland, so I can see a lot of the things in here that I can relate to, as the Finland is nearby, and the patterns and some of the details I know have been used in our cultures, both of our cultures, and the fact that the company name Uusi means new in English, and in Finnish it's uusi, and in my language it's uus. So our languages are similar, and yeah, this is not even relevant, but Pagan Otherworlds, I think this is the second edition that I have. So these were my tarot decks. Let's turn back to here, and I will leave the link to the previous collection down below, so you can go see what decks I had before and what is no longer with me, and probably you can see the taste change from there also compared to this what I have here right now. So thank you for watching, and thank you for visiting my life and tarot. Bye.